You're watching the Randy and Christa Show. I'm Randy Alvarez.
And I'm Christa Orecchio, and this is news that makes you healthier, and fertility is on the agenda today, you guys.
Okay, today's a big topic. Okay, so this is your book, How to Conceive Naturally. Is that, how long have you been working on this book?
This is the labor of love project that has been with my friend and co-author for about 4 years. We've nights and weekends, whenever we could get together, we would. And finally, it's getting out in the world.
Okay, now first, for people that don't know you, by the way, I mean, you know, I was before we came on the air, I said she's the Oprah Winfrey of nutritionists. She is the one to watch. But it's true. I mean, you have a successful business here in San Diego. You have a huge following. You call it a tribe with thousands of people that take your advice, get the result, and you walk your talk. I couldn't even get you to drink out of a plastic bottle here today. So good for you.
I got my turmeric.
So tell us a little bit about what you're doing. You have an online program, you know, a little bit about it.
So my company's called The Whole Journey. And at The Whole Journey, well, I was in private practice for almost 10 years, but now we work, you know, people need this work and they're sick and suffering. So now I work with large groups online and help them get healthier, help them heal their chronic digestive and immune issues, do a lot of the media, try to teach people how to use food as medicine and really understand to address their health and health issues from the root cause. Right? We're trying to shift that perspective of just band-aiding and symptoms, but healing from the roots so that life can truly be different. So
okay, good.
That's a little bit about The Whole Journey, and we're growing fast, yeah.
Now, are you still on Fox News every single week here in San Diego?
Every week, yeah. We still do Food as Medicine with Fox every week in San Diego. Or don't you watch?
Food is, you know what? I'm always working while you're there, but I hear about it all the time.
Okay, you gotta go online
I brag
to
that I
watch
know
it.
you when I'm out and about. And one guy said, "You don't
funny.
know Christa Orecchio." I said, we have a host a show together.
We're co-hosts.
Exactly right.
And soon to be
And
neighbors.
the bartender cut me off. No more for that guy.
No more for that guy.
He doesn't know
He
Christa
gets
Orecchio.
quinoa vodka only.
Exactly. Okay, so this book, How to Conceive Naturally and Have a Healthy Pregnancy After 30. What inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so this book it was very organic. About 4 years ago, my practice started taking that turn where I was getting women coming to me in their late 30s, early 40s. I've been everywhere, I've tried everything, I can't get pregnant, what's next? And I didn't have a fertility focus. That wasn't my area of expertise, but they said, well, are you willing to do whatever it takes to figure it out? You seem like you might be. And I said, okay, let's do this thing, because I believe that if you give the body what it needs, you take away what it doesn't need, you heal from the root cause and address things holistically, things happen, right? We can trust our body again. And Randy, they all started getting pregnant, like serious cases of.
Oh, really?
I had my first woman that I said, wow, this is major. She came to me, she was 42. And she had been trying to get pregnant for 6 years. She went through 6 rounds of in vitro fertilization. I mean, can you imagine the emotional journey you have to go on, the financial journey, just so much. It's like, are you going to have your own child or not? For a lot of women, it's the biggest thing in life. And we worked really hard. And she then went for she's like, this is the last time I'm going to do it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You need a healthy body for IVF to take. And she ended up getting pregnant. She had her healthy baby at 43. And then as I was connecting with her, now the book, you know, this is some 4 years later, right? Now she just had her second baby, who's now a year old, and she had that one at age 46. So, you know, this started happening. I said, wow, we have to get this work out into the world. Women are really struggling and suffering. And
so as a clinician, you've been working with women and fertility for more than 4 years?
For the last 4 years, yeah. And so at that same time, so I have a co-author, Willow Buckley. She's a doula and a really gifted homeopath. And right around the same time, she was maybe 32 at the time. She said, okay, they came over for dinner, and her husband and her, she said, okay, we're going to do a preconception detox because we want to conceive in the next 6 months, right? This is our field, so we're kind of crazy about this stuff. So she said, and she said to me, I started telling her, okay, all these women are coming and they're getting pregnant, and I need to figure out how they're getting pregnant, how we're sorting this whole thing out. And, you know, at the same time, she said, well, is there any book out there that not only does the preconception, but tells you what to eat in each week of pregnancy to make sure that child's organs form to the best of their ability, right? This is over drinks, her last time having drinks for 6 months until she tries to conceive. And I said, no. And we said, well, let's write it. You know, let's get this work out into the world. And we actually did it. We're pretty proud of ourselves for completing it.
So who should read the book?
I mean, anyone that wants to get pregnant within the next 6 months, anyone that's had trouble conceiving within 6 months, or really if you just want to have the healthiest pregnancy. This is kind of our new guide it is clinical and it's holistic for anybody who wants to have a baby and wants to do it the healthiest way possible.
Now you have endorsements from two of the biggest names in
we're
fertility.
Really so Dr. Christiane Northrup I've been reading her work for years. She wrote Women's Bodies, Women's Wisdom. She's a brilliant medical doctor.
Is she an OB?
She's an OBGYN, and her work resonated with me. This book wasn't even a twinkle in my eye, you know, back when I was really studying her work. And then when we reached out to her and we said, this is the book we're writing, and it also, you know, we also addressed the genetic component, and she was more than happy to review it, give us our cover quote for it. And it's just everything that she believes. And Dr. Sarah Gottfried as well wrote our foreword, and she's Harvard MD, OBGYN. She has worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of women, and it's so nice to have her endorsement as well
now,
as a functional
in your book,
medicine doctor.
You have the science, you reference the studies that support this approach.
Yeah, we have between 20 and 30 studies where we're really trying to show epigenetic directives, like it's what you do now before you even conceive this baby that contributes to that child's health in their adult life, and not just that, to your grandchildren's health, right? This is really, you have so much power, because if you can kind of tune up what's called the microbiome, the organisms within the gut before you conceive, it's a different genetic game. And then your kid doesn't have to get whatever everyone else in the family, chronic, you know, thyroid problems, heart disease, those types of things. You give them a better shot. And so those studies are great, and studies really showing caffeine and the foods we want to take out and the role of progesterone, but then also just positive studies, because I think that a lot of when we were just talking about, you know, you saying that a woman was feeling insecure because she was getting older. And so we kind of talk about, this is for your late 30s and early 40s. You can do it any time, but especially that population. We have a chapter in there called Taking the Batteries Out of the Biological Clock. And so really citing that research and putting a positive spin instead of all of the fear, because the studies do show that women in their early 30s, they have a 75 to 80% chance of getting pregnant naturally within 1 year. Women in their early 40s have a 65% chance of getting pregnant. Those are really good odds, and I feel like we need to show the positive side of that as well. So
you've seen a lot of people, and I'm going to go over your approach in just a moment. I have a lot of questions about your approach. But you have a lot of people, like story after story after story, of people that tried and then heard about you, and then now they have kids. Yeah. Is that right? And they're all in the book. And I just connected with one of my favorite couples yesterday, Erin and John from Minnesota. And they came to me, same thing. And she was in her early 30s. He was in his late 30s. They've tried for 5 years. And the doctor said, well, you have unexplained infertility. What do you do with that? There's a reason for everything. And so we worked together, and long story short, it took them between 10 and 11 months. And when the time I closed my practice, right, to move more into the online world, they were my last client session, the very last session I ever had. And I said, they had better tell me they're pregnant. And it just was perfect. The stars aligned. And after this 5-year journey, when we figured out what was going on with both of them, they have a beautiful 1-year-old today. Now, you believe, and we were talking in the green room, and I said, who else is doing this? I mean, you're convinced this is pretty cutting edge, that this is very unique, this book. Elaborate on that.
Well, who preps for pregnancy for 3 months? I mean, you're determining the quality of the egg and the quality of the sperm a few months before they ever come together. And it's like, we will plan financially. We will plan our life. We will plan the baby's room. We'll plan for all of these things. But do we ever prepare our bodies? Like, especially for a woman, that's the first home a baby ever has. It's like, how can you plant seeds if you don't till the soil, right? And so really getting people to understand that concept, that there's a preparation period that can determine not just that child's health and how the pregnancy goes, whether the mom enjoys the pregnancy, whether she feels good, whether her hormones can balance afterwards, right? And to avoid postpartum depression and things like that. But there's just so much there, and like to really think, okay, what are the changing needs of pregnancy to make sure that mom doesn't get depleted as well? Give the baby what it needs, but keep mom strong throughout pregnancy. Yeah, I mean, this is why we wrote that book, because there isn't one out there.
I mean, this is really, there's nothing like this?
There's nothing
else. So if
I
go to the bookstore, there's really not anything that's really covering it in depth this way?
No, I mean, we really kind of searched high and low because we weren't really, wanting to write a book necessarily. It was like, wow, this is not out there.
But there's a lot of fertility books.
There's a lot.
Knowing I was going to interview you about this,
right?
I didn't, scan the out, but I was with my 13-year-old son and I saw these fertility books. Mm-hmm. What? Sure,
there's a lot of fertility books, but they don't pull it all together. We call pregnancy a 5-trimester process: preconception, then those 3 trimesters of pregnancy, and then postpartum. There's nothing that addresses it all. There's nothing that addresses the genetic component in the preconception, detox, and build. And there's nothing that goes into each week of pregnancy so you can really understand the nutrients. And then how, you don't want to leave someone hanging after you have that baby. How do you balance your hormones? Because I have women come to me afterwards. They say, I had a baby 8 years ago. I've never felt the same since. What happened? You can't leave that piece. So there is nothing as comprehensive as this book out there. Are
the people, by the way, reporting that they're not gaining as much weight as a typical person because of, the clean eating?
Yeah. Oh, they are having more energy. We think that, pregnancy gets to be this affliction where you're going to feel sick all the time and exhausted. And sure, you're growing a human. There's going to be shifts in your body, but you can mitigate them so much. And so, yeah, if you eat well, you train your body. It's just like a marathon runner or anything. You train for pregnancy. You don't gain more weight than you need to, and it drops off so quickly within those first couple of months afterwards.
Now, on my show, The Wellness Hour, I've had a lot of medical doctors that specialize in vitro fertilization. And the numbers I get from them are 15% to 17%. And that was just a few months ago. I don't know if that's changed, but that's the chance. And people spend, $10,000, $15,000 or more with a 15% chance.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard because we're talking about nutrition, things like that. But for people, what are your thoughts on this? That it should work together with IVF? Or give this a shot first before IVF?
If you've never tried to conceive naturally, or if you've been trying unsuccessfully for 6 months, give this a try. Okay. And give this a real try. Give it 3 months, and then try to get pregnant for 3 months.
What do you think? 3 months? You get somebody somewhat healthy, and they have been trying for 6 months. They can't do anything if they follow the principles.
Oh, chances are they're going to get pregnant. They should be in wonderful shape if they're already somewhat healthy. I'm having women that have come to me that had major trauma, major different issues and imbalances and overgrowths and chemical toxicity, all kinds of things that we were able to do it, in 4 months. And then some people, they take 11 months. But so we have nothing against the, IUI, IVF, nothing. But just like I said about healthy, creating that healthy soil, you still need a healthy body for those chances of IVF to go higher. And so this book is even for somebody, if you say, okay, I have IVF in the next 3 months, get this book. Do the preconception build and the preconception detox. And you can feel so good knowing that you're going into this doing everything within your power to prepare for it. And then at some point, you just have to let it go, right?
All right. Now let's talk about your approach. Give me an overview. We only have so much time here. These 5 steps or 5 What'd you call it? 5 something?
Yeah, the 5 trimesters that we call. We break pregnancy into 5 trimesters. And so, well, first in the beginning, I like to go over, depending on how long someone's been trying, I kind of give a functional lab work 101. Like certain things that most medical doctors don't look for. If you've had multiple miscarriages, you must get tested for the genetic mutation, the MTHFR genetic mutation, to see if you are able to detox properly and to see if you're able to actually use your folic acid that you consume or that you're taking, let's say in your prenatal, as a form of folate, which helps the neural tube form. You know, if that genetic mutation is there undiagnosed, multiple miscarriages, which is heartbreaking. I've worked with women 4 miscarriages. Please get tested for this. They find out their doctor didn't know about it. They get tested, they have it, then they can correct the issue. They're able to get pregnant and stay pregnant. So Randy, in the book, we outline the major tests that you need to run if you've had really a lot of problems with fertility, how to find those tests, and how to interpret those tests. So it's kind of giving the power back to you, whether it's a test for leaky gut, whether there's parasites or pathogens. This could be certain tests for the adrenals, for hormone imbalances, liver tests. So that way you'll be able to put it all together in a completely different way.
Is insurance going to cover any of these tests for women?
Insurance can cover some of those tests. If you go through your medical doctor and that medical doctor runs these tests, sure. But for tests like leaky gut or food sensitivity tests, as far as I know, those aren't covered. But they're well worth it to run those and find the formula for your body. So that's kind of the very beginning. If for those people who, we say that who want to geek out on the science and the lab work, that we'll say, here's the lab work that you can run, and here's what to do with that to create an action plan. And then we get into the first trimester, which we call, it's a 12-week preconception detox and building process to really tune up the body, get rid of things like whether all the foods that don't work for you, get rid of the things that could be hurting your hormonal health, get rid of the, any types of foods that aren't working for you, and then really start to build, strengthen digestive health, start to build and boost the thyroid, foods that balance hormones, and that is also for dads. So we don't leave the dads out. They're not getting off the hook, We have our super sperm smoothies in there, and how to build super sperm is what the dad wants to do for 2 months before giving his
So the guy
sperm.
gets on this too?
The guy gets on this too because the quality of the sperm is very important. Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's a dad chapter in there. And this is something, we also talk about the emotional piece. Like this is something that consciously couples are coming together to create a new human life. Like you really have to think about that, and it's just to also create that bond and understand the enormity and the power of what you're attempting to do. So that's 12 weeks, meal plans, we explain everything, and we slowly help people change their diet so it's not scary.
I have a question before I forget. Women during pregnancy seem to get, I know my ex-wife, odd cravings. It might be pickles or pastrami sandwiches or something odd.
Yeah, you hear like the pickles and ice cream.
Yeah, by eating this way, are those cravings not happening?
I haven't thought about that before, which is really funny. And I think I haven't because none of my pregnant clients have told me they've had crazy cravings, which is really interesting. Now, there's supportive cravings, there's destructive cravings. And so if you have your biochemistry working for you in the right direction and you do your proper, planning before, then I imagine the cravings that you're getting in pregnancy are just supportive cravings of, oh, I really want to eat, some spinach, or I'm craving cheese, because you need the nutrient in that food versus those really wacky cravings.
So what about supplements? What are the guidelines?
Yeah, so I'm really glad you brought that up because we have searched far and wide, and you can do a lot of damage if the supplements aren't high quality, or you can do a lot of good. And so we help women customize their own preconception and prenatal plan with supplements based upon how they're filling things out in the book. And so we've done all the research to how is that supplement grown? Is it food-based? How is it shipped? Do they heat up? What oil do they use to lubricate the machinery? And really try to use whole food-based supplements as much as possible. And so
outlined in the book.
Everything is outlined in the book for every single trimester. And there's also supplement recommendations for dad as well. And then he can also customize based upon his age, his current state of health. So people can feel really empowered that they're getting highest quality, and they're also customizing for their goals and their individual state of health that they come to the book with. So that's the first part of the book, the lab work, the preconception, the supplements, like really kind of getting your mind ready for what you're about to do. And then the second part of the book is you are pregnant. You know, congratulations, now what do you do? And we want to have that really good guide, like the girl's guide to pregnancy, but you also trust that this is very clinical and the science has been vetted out. And so then we go into the first, second, and third trimester, and we talk about these are the foods you want to focus on in this trimester.
Really?
And here's why. And we also talk around, okay, what are the times of day? If you're feeling nauseous, if this, then that. What's the most important thing to get in? Because, you know, you're not going to feel great all of the time, and you have to harness those windows that you do feel good to get nutrients in your body instead of just eating whatever.
So the diet changes in each trimester?
The diet changes in each trimester depending on what's happening with the baby. So you're going to need a lot of folate, you know, in the first trimester because the neural tube is forming. You know, that's so important. Your protein is so crucial in the first trimester. As you're developing amniotic fluid, really salt and hydration is going to be the things that you focus on. You know, and then as you move along, when blood volume is doubling and things are going throughout pregnancy, you need to focus on when the baby's gaining most of its weight in the third trimester, the brain is forming, when do you shift to focus more on the omegas? You know, we have a healthy diet throughout, but you're focusing on nutrients and you're going along with the baby. So you're pushing
things at the baby in different stages of development.
Yeah, you're giving the baby what the baby needs and mom what she needs to make sure she can stay balanced, because pregnancy is the greatest journey a woman's body ever goes through, to create another life. I mean, and that can be so depleting. It can take 2 years to recover the adrenal glands after having a baby, and we want to cut that time in way less than half.
Good. This is fascinating to me because I know you personally, and I always underestimate you. You know?
Why do you do that?
I don't know what it is, right? I mean, you really, this is well thought out. You know,
Thank you.
Good for you. But and I don't want to sidetrack because I want to get to the rest of this, but what are the common mistakes? That means in your research, are there mistakes people make, women make, that once they get pregnant, they do something that's not good? Like, for example, some people are dieting and they're drinking a big glass of orange juice. Not good, right? That's a common myth. With you, what is it in pregnancy world?
I mean, I don't want to say that they're doing things wrong, but I think the biggest thing is that when women say, well, now I'm eating for 2, and they don't focus on the quality of what they eat, it's just the quantity. And they'll end up eating a lot more sugar. And so that's where, you know, it kind of upsets me when I see that. You know, women like, okay, now I can have dessert every day and every night, because that's, you know, stripping vitamins and minerals and B vitamins and things that you need for your baby.
So when you eat the bad food, it may take away the good.
Yeah, or the fried foods, or those types of things. I mean, the body is really resilient. And so I know there's a lot of people who don't live all organic and they have perfectly healthy babies. And so the body's very resilient, especially during pregnancy. It's going to do whatever it can to protect the baby. But my philosophy is if we have the power within us to really dramatically contribute, why wouldn't we use it? But you have to do that preconception cleanse. Otherwise, your biochemistry isn't going to work for you, and you're going to crave sugar every day. You're going to want pasta for dinner instead of the salmon. And so that's the idea, is we don't want to make you swim upstream, but we want to shift the biochemistry so that eating this way is natural and supportive, and you're in harmony with your body.
Do you believe it's a mistake that a woman might say, you know, I'm pretty healthy. I don't need to change how I'm eating, and I'll just take a prenatal supplement? Meaning they're judging their health just because they're not heavy. Right? Are there people, I mean, so why is that a mistake? To not, you know, they say, I'm healthy and I'm taking, you know, I don't know, Centrum or, you know, one of these over-the-counter prenatal or whatever I'm saying.
No.
So, but those type of women may watch this program. So what do you say to them? It's not enough then, in your view, to just take these prenatal and that's it.
It's not enough in today's world, Randy. I mean, we're dealing with genetically modified foods. We have, you know, all kinds of environmental toxins and chemical toxins, and we're exposed to so much that we need to safeguard ourselves. And how do you know you're absorbing that vitamin? You know, there's a lot of synthesized chemicals in Centrum, and my dad was in pharmaceuticals for 40 years. Centrum was one of their products.
I don't like Centrum.
Don't take Centrum. Yeah, it's I much prefer the quality of the vitamin is so
you know,
crucial.
You mentioned these stories about people that, you know, maybe they're in their 50s and they'll say, hey, when I was a baby, my mother smoked and she drank and things like that. But the fact is, her mother, if you're 50 years old, was pretty much eating organic. There wasn't GMO. There was, it was a healthier, the water was better.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. We're contending with modern lifestyle.
They were sleeping more back then, less stress. There wasn't
They weren't
TV
on their devices every second and really not feeling present. That causes actually a lot of stress where people feel like they don't know if they're coming or going anymore. So we're just trying to catch up with modern life.
So with the toxic world, that's why you need this book.
Yeah.
This is because based on the environment that we're dealing with.
Yeah, but it's practical. Like, I don't have my life to spend in the kitchen. I'm not telling people that they should be rolling around in wheatgrass and eating twigs. Like, this is very practical, doable. The food tastes good. You can still have your 80-20 balance, for the thing. I mean, minus obviously you're not going to be having alcohol in pregnancy, but you can still enjoy your food and it can still be a source of pleasure for you, but it's just safeguarding for the future. And so I've had people, I always ask, how did you eat as a child in my initial consultation? And those people that were raised healthier, or I ask about the mom's nutrition in pregnancy, were they vaginal delivered or were they cesarean delivered, were they breastfed? You're setting up the entire platform. And those people that had that chance early in life, they can handle a lot more junk. They can handle a lot more stress. They can handle a lot more toxins than somebody who wasn't. So I wasn't breastfed. I was a cesarean baby. I was raised on antibiotics. I shudder to think of what I have to work harder to keep my health balanced than someone who had that healthier base. If I didn't find this field, Randy, I would definitely be diabetic. I would definitely have an autoimmune disease, if not 2 or 3. It's just the trajectory that you head down. So you think if you can avoid that for your child, like, why wouldn't you want to? That's the best. It's more important to me than saving for their college education is to create that healthy human.
We have 2 minutes left. So, and I interrupted you earlier about the second half of the book.
That's
so
part 2. Part 3 is postpartum.
Okay.
And this is really important. What do you do in those 12 weeks after the baby? The supplements change, the foods change. You're getting a huge progesterone drop, and that can cause depression. Your brain chemistry is shifting. And so here's where we change that, and we try to offset it right away so that you can enjoy your first 3 months of your child's life and bond with your baby. And we talk about placenta encapsulation, which is controversial, but it is the most natural approach to stay balanced. And we also talk about, Willow is a homeopath, so you don't ever have to take over the counters when you're on this book, because she gives a homeopathic remedy for all the pregnancy body follies, from heartburn to constipation to insomnia. There's something that you can go to, like Nature's Medicine Cabinet. And then we address the mental and the emotional approach and how to have that village mentality and really enjoy the process of creating a family.
How do they get the book now?
They can go to thewholejourney.com. Comes out October 20th, and we have a list of retailers at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, all of those.
Good. Well, you know what? Another news that makes you healthier. That's what we call our show. And this is one of those. Great job, by the way. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. And of course, we're going to have you back because you're our
we'll
co-host
talk about
here.
all the babies, that are
exactly.
being created.
And I know you want to have a baby one of
this
these days.
book.
Is that right?
Yeah, within the next few years. So I'm turning 37 Saturday. So you know what? This is my book, but for myself, who knew I'd write a book that I would need, right?
Good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
You've been watching the Randy and Christa show. I'm Randy Alvarez.
I'm Christa Orecchio. Thanks for being here, guys. We'll see you next time.